Today we're doing a bit of insider info on the VE6 LFX. It's the latest motor Holden has in their Commodores. It's based from the Camaro version. Some of the different factors on it when you pull the engine cover off. We'll see it's now got a plastic intake manifold, much like the LS, and the direct injection. With this model we're able to now tune these and get some good results. Some of the trap falls are when people do fit an intake system on this car. It allows more air, but the car actually goes backwards without getting a tune. I'll explain some of that a little bit more later on, but basically when you have that on there and exhaust modification, as this car was represented, it was brought in, we've got it on here and we've spun it up and we've got 166 kilowatts. Standard form's about 180, so we've actually gotten backwards even though we have an intake on it and an exhaust, and it's no fault of the intake, it's a matter of what happens when we put the intake on. It has more air, and then basically we're getting less timing and too rich a fuel mixture, which we'll see here at 0.77 lambda. We're way off the scale, so our power has gone south and we want the power to go north. What we'll do now is we've corrected the tune, and we'll give it a run on the rollers. We'll see hopefully the lambda come up, power come up, and see what kind of gains we can get out of the little V6. We'll give her a run. Okay, we've just spun it up in the rollers and we've got a pretty big increase. We've got 201 rear wheel kilowatts. We'll go to an overlay and show you why the power has come up. Okay, so there's our runs there in the green compared to the blue run, and you can greatly see here our corrected runs here with the green run is basically lambda from 0.89 all the way from 782. So that's what happens when you do put air intakes and exhausts on without doing a tune-up, especially on this late model car. It's very sensitive with a 7-wire MAF sensor. Basically it can't be tricked into making horsepower unless it's actually been corrected. As you can see up the top, we've got some nearly 40 rear wheel kilowatt gain, so there's pretty big power gains to be had if it's tuned correctly. Okay, what we're logging here is all the parameters on the V6. One of them was some testing on the customer's air intake. Basically this is KPA, and at no restriction approximately we could see around about 100 KPA, which means at 3000 RPM we don't really have any restrictions going on there. After that we'll run through the run. As the RPMs increase we can see this graph going down and the KPA going down, which is showing us is there's some form of restriction either in the air intake or the throttle body. With a well designed air intake you probably can get a little bit more air through the throttle body even though it is a certain size. So in this particular case, once we're getting up in our RPM level, you can see this thing coming down to 96. And basically what that does is allow the engine to not produce as much power as it could. So we're even down to 95 kPa at a 7000 RPM. So that's producing basically an air restriction, and if we could fix that even further we might have some more power on the table. But it is a good little power package, and that just shows you that GM Motorsport, we're doing some development work on these cars, and yeah, 200 rear wheel kilowatts through an automatic transmission is pretty good power. In old days an LS1 would only probably run around about 160 kilowatts standard, and even a VE 2006 model on 91 fuel automatic transmissions around about the same kilowatts. So we mightn't have the torque, but for the P-platers and the V6 guys, we've got a breakthrough to the 200 rear wheel kilowatt mark.